Good morning. I am going to show you how to peel tomatoes so that you can can. I'm going to try to make some salsa this morning and some Rotel. I love using Rotel in many things. I mean, you can make some good bucksnort with that, and then you can use that for. It's typically a dip, but you can use it for making zucchini boats. You can use it in stuffed peppers, and it's really good. So, but I'm going to start off just showing you how to peel the tomatoes, and I have boiled these over here, and I core them first. This is a black tomato. It's black on top. It's red on the bottom when it's ripe, and they're called black beauties. They are an heirloom, which means they're not bred up, and so they should be fairly high acid like my grandmother had. They usually have more of these scarrings and stuff, which doesn't hurt nothing. You don't have to trim that off. I just took the core out, and then if there's any bad spots, I cut that off. So I'm going to drop 3 tomatoes in here, just like that, and then I'm going to boil them and kind of roll them because we want every side. Usually I use a bigger pan, and for some reason I couldn't find it today, so this big one is the one that's going to give me troubles. And I just kind of let them boil until you see that the skin cracks. Then you know that it's coming away. And this one here has cracked, and you can see that that has cracked right there. I'll show it closer. See how that cracked? That means it's ready to put in here to cool. And I'm going to roll this big one up again. It looks like it's definitely cracking too. Sometimes the bigger ones take a little longer. This one here's cracking, so it's good. And this one here is cracking and peeling right back. You can see how that's peeled right back. So that is, now, I try to get rid of as much water as I can. Okay, we're going to shut that off. I don't know for sure how many I'm going to need. I'm going to measure it as I go, and I'm going to end up, I've found several recipes. I've never made I've made bucksnort, but I've never made Rotel before. But it's pretty simple. There's 2 ingredients. All you have in it is tomatoes and peppers, and I suppose a little salt. So getting the heat right, I like it hot. You can buy hot, and you can buy mild, and you can buy medium Rotel. Well, I'll probably make hot because that's the way I like it, and then when I mix it with the cream cheese and the sausage, it turns out really good. The other day I made some Rotel, and I just did it from scratch. I peeled a couple of tomatoes, and I did just 2. And then I did 3 jalapenos, small jalapenos, because it's the end of the season. You pick everything, and once the big ones are gone, you get small ones left, and you use them. And so I used 3 small, and it was really good. And I just mixed the cream cheese, the peppers, well, the Rotel, which is the peppers and tomatoes, with pound of ground sausage. And then I use that in, I have another video on that too, so you might want to take a look at some of my other videos. It's called Bucksnort. It's wonderful, and that's the reason why I want to can some Rotel down so I don't have to buy it. So, and I have lots of tomatoes, so, but after I trimmed, like I said, I trimmed off the bad spots, and then all you do is the skin just peels right off, just like so. So you peel all the skins off, and then I'll dice this up. I've got a bunch of these peeled. I will be honest with you, they're green on top because they are a black tomato, and this isn't the same black one that I showed you earlier. The black one I showed you earlier was like this one. And when the black peels off, there isn't hardly any black left on it. It looks more purple. Here's a black one, and this one hasn't been peeled yet. See, it's black there, and to peel them, it just comes off like so. Where it's scarred here, because it is that just peels off too, but it's a little harder than, you know, the fancy bread up ones that don't have as much acid in them. This one here is going to leave some black on it when I peel it, which is fine. Just make sure that you get all that skin off. We don't want any of the skin in it. And just like that. And I think I got one more in here to peel. This is a red one. This one would be not an heirloom. You don't have, only spot is here that'll be a little harder to peel, but it just peels off. So some people, they dip it in cold water afterwards. I usually don't feel I have enough time for that, so I just set it aside, and it you don't have to dip it in the cold water. It's a step that my mom and my grandma never used. We just and there we have all these, and then we'll see how many we end up with. Get my knife and start dicing it, cutting it up. This is the way I like to dice it. I know they'll say don't cut toward yourself. My mom taught me to do it this way. So this is the way we do it. And then we'll just cut that way. And this is a serrated edge knife. I don't cut myself. Okay, and we'll just look at that. There's one tomato. Notice I put my hair up. I didn't want hair in my... So we have two kinds of black tomatoes here, and then a red tomato. Both of the blacks are heirloom. They a little harder to peel because you get more of that funny shape, and then you can't get into the... So, but yeah. And the green on the top was a little bit hard to peel on some of these. This one here was, you can tell, this was a black tomato also. This is a biggie. I might have to cut him in half and then... But this was a black tomato, but you notice black tomatoes are still red in the middle, so... they're supposed to make good salsa tomatoes, and as you can tell, it doesn't seem to be real seedy, which is reason why they make good salsa tomatoes. Nobody likes real seedy. And the juice, don't have that. Around the seeds is where you get all that extra juice, and for salsa you don't want all that extra juice, so you can also cut it up just like chunk it like that too. Might be the easiest with this big a tomato. Could use a cutting board. You'll find you'll get a lot of juice all over the place. So this is actually, I think, the easiest way to do it. They say that if you have a good sharp knife, you're less apt to cut yourself. Most of the time that's true, but every once in a while, if you do get down and cut yourself, it cuts deep quick if it's too sharp. So I got a feeling this will be just about right for almost a gallon. This bowl that I'm measuring in is 2 cups, and I can't remember how many cups I have several recipes. I'll have to grab my recipes and see which one I'm going to use. Now this is, you can definitely tell that there's a lot more juice in this one, and so it won't work as nice. You end up with your salsa or bucksnort's going to be juicier, and you know, you kind of like it a little bit on the thick side. So and it's not like, I don't like to just cook it down like you do juice or paste or something like that. Well, juice you don't cook down, but the paste or the tomato sauce you can cook down and boil out some of that moisture. Well, I don't particularly like to do that with salsa, because it, instead of being chunky, it just turns into a sauce. Which some people, that's fine. Some people, I notice, they blend theirs and their salsas, so it's a blended salsa. So yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting this up, and then we will be back on the next step. Well, I had about 8 cups. I had 2 of these to the 4 line, so I'm going for 12 cups. So I did 4 more tomatoes to, hopefully we're up to 12 cups. And you can see that they split very nicely. And I'm using the black tomatoes because them look to me like they make the best salsa. And that's what they're known for is. So we'll just peel this. I found my recipe. I found several recipes. 2 of the recipes to me, 3 jalapenos is not enough for a big batch like this. And they're saying 12 pounds of 3 jalapenos. I don't think so. I did 2 tomatoes and did 3 jalapenos. Well, obviously, and that turned out just right. So I'm going to tweak the recipe and make it, this recipe that I did find here, it does call for like 12. And that would be about what I would think. It says Anaheim or other hot peppers. So you can use, I use jalapenos. I like the flavor of jalapenos. And Rotel, actually, that's what is in it, is jalapenos. So when you buy it and you look at your label on your can, yeah. So one of these is that Black Beauty, and the others are another kind of black. And I don't know, I don't remember what they were, what the names of them were. I just know that one was Black Beauty. And the weird part of it is they're black on the vine for weeks before they start turning. They're green at first, then they're black on the vines for, like I say, weeks before they start turning red on the bottom. And when they turn red on the bottom, that's when they're ready. And they do keep for quite a while. They don't seem to over ripen as quick as some do. I had one that was ripe in the house here, and I had it sitting on the table for like a week, and yeah, normally that don't work. Gotta grab my knife. We're gonna cut these here up, and hopefully this here fills this pretty full, and we'll have about, yeah, this is like, it's like a firmer tomato than some of the other kinds, which for salsa and the bucksnort you're gonna, or for the Rotel, you're gonna want firmer. Firmer's always good. Now, yeah, we're gonna cut it in the bowl like so. That works too. Yeah, these are nice firm tomatoes. And I think it'll be just about right. And it don't have to be exact, obviously. It never is. I like the looks of these. I was afraid they were going to be black on the inside, and I thought, oh, that's going to look like awful funky looking. But it is a different color. It's a red, but it's not the same red, so. Got this little thing off the bottom. The other one I dug out with my fingernail that had that. Okay, so. Yep, it'll be just about right. I'm a pretty good guesser sometimes. And hopefully this will make about 8 cups, because I'm going to use jelly jars, and I'm going to use the ones that's about a cup, not the tiny ones, because that'd be about the same size as a Rotel can, and basically I'll be using it in the place of to make bucksnort. Maybe find other things later on, but that's what I typically have used it for in the past. I actually might even give some, if I get enough of this made, for Christmas presents. I know my daughter, she makes a lot of bucksnort, and it was my grandson, her son, that said, oh, you should try that in, and it turned out really good. So I'm going to rinse my hands off quick. And we have our 12 cups approximately, give or take. And now I'm going to shut you off because I'm going to go pick some jalapenos to go in it. And it called for a teaspoon of salt, so I always use the sea salt. So I'll put a teaspoon of salt in. I can do that right now. 1 teaspoon. And some of my recipes called for black pepper along with it. Well, if you've got enough jalapenos in it, why would you have to put black pepper in it? So I like this one. This recipe is just 3 ingredients: tomatoes, salt, and jalapenos. And you can adjust them depending on how much heat you want. So I will be back in a little bit. Well, I went to the garden and I picked me some jalapenos. Some are big, some are tiny. It's the end of the year. It's like it's the end of September. Minnesota, we should have had a frost by now, but we haven't. So, but anyway, I figured I'd just pick. I cleaned 2 or 3 bushes off completely, and there's nothing left on them. I can pull them. And I thought, oh, a couple of chili peppers would be good in it. So I got a couple of them. It's what I had in the garden. I think this should make it hot enough to make it good. So going from I had 2 large tomatoes that I did 3 jalapenos. I have quite a few more here. So I think this will be pretty equivalent. So I'm going to go ahead and start cutting these up. Just take the top off. I slice them endwise, lay them flat, and I try not to handle them too much because obviously they're hot. So I just kind of quarter them like so. You can have them, depending on how big, you could just slice them and leave whole half slices in there, but I don't think it'd be as good. So, just like that, and then I slice. And I use a serrated edge knife. It cuts easier without, and leaving the seeds in because that helps make your heat. Now, if you do have arthritis or something, keep in mind that the seeds, and now this here top piece, I trim it. I don't waste anything. So right to the stem I trim it. And I will do this to all of them and just put it in with my, and I will finish doing all these and then I will be back. Well, I'm back. I got all the jalapenos cut up, and like I say, you might want to de-seed it, and prefer, if you've got any arthritis or anything like that, you may want to de-skin it too, because the skins and seeds of both tomatoes and peppers can cause inflammation in some people that have arthritis. So just a little tip for that. The smaller ones, I did just do the rounds because they were just too tiny. But yeah, I could put a bell pepper in here, because when I did my bucksnort, I did use a bell pepper because I happen to have a bunch of them. Like, I have tons of them in the garden. So I might go out and see if I can find just a small one, maybe. Nah, I'll just do it like the direction says this time. But yeah, you can do that. It looks like it's going to be pretty good. So now I'm going to turn my pot on. And I'm going to simmer it for just a little while. And then I might pour off some of the juice. It says to simmer it for quite a while until it gets down to a quart. I don't think so. For one thing, you're cooking, everything gets to be mush and all together, and I kind of like it diced and, you know. So I'm gonna, that I can play by ear, just so that it's hot when I put it in the jars, and then I will do the boiling water bath, and I'll show you how that's all done. Salsa would be done very similar to this, only I can them in quart jars or pint jars instead of the little jelly jars, because you use more. And you use onion in it. Some of my Rotel recipes, copycat Rotel recipes, call for onion. But you read the can, there's no onion in it. So all that's in it on the can is, it's got some sodium in it, obviously, as the jalapenos and tomatoes. That's what it is. So I can't see why you would add the other stuff. Then it turns in, it's more like salsa. And I'm not making salsa, I'm making Rotel. But salsa is very similar. So, and you can make hot salsa, you can make mild salsa just by adjusting the amount of jalapenos put in it, just like with the Rotel. So this one here should be pretty hot. I've got quite a few. We will find out. Always find out when you get all said and done. And if I have to mild it out a little bit, I might end up turning my stuff into double batches and using a can or a jar and using 2 pounds of sausage and 2 packages of cream cheese. We'll play it by ear, see what we come up with. I think it'll be perfect, because when I made that one batch using, and that was kind of an experiment so that I knew how much to put in with the jalapenos, with tomatoes, to get an idea. I did put a bell pepper in, just a very small bell pepper in with that there one. So I could go get some bell peppers and put in here, or I could leave it. It really doesn't make that much difference. It don't really mild it any, and it don't really add any more heat, maybe just a different flavor a little. So I've got this cooking. I will be back after this is simmered for a little while, and I'll be putting it in jars. So I will let you go, and I will clean up this mess. Hi, well, I have had this Rotel simmering for a while, trying to thicken it up a little bit. I don't think I want to go clear down to the quart that they said, but it's getting thicker. and I have my jar lids in a pot of boiling water. I have my kettle here cooking, and it's actually boiling, so this is boiling, so with both of them boiling we got equal temperatures and our jars won't break. Well, I'm going to start off by putting a little lime juice. You can use lemon or lime or even vinegar for a citrus acid to help, and I'm putting in a tablespoon. That's kind of what it usually says. So that I think my tomatoes was high acid enough because they're heirloom tomatoes, but just to be on the safe side I added a little. And then I could have just put a little squirt in each jar, but since these are small jars, I figured it'd be easier to do. So we are gonna not use that. We're gonna use this so it goes quicker. Okay. Gotta get my something to get my lids out. Okay, put this on the next jar. Clean the top off. I just use my finger. And then put a ring on it. Snug them down good. Don't tighten it too tight, but you want snug. The first few jars I don't have to use the thing to drop them in, but when the water gets higher in there, I'll need. Okay. Wipe the rim off a little. And grab your lid and the ring. And I usually do tightening with my arms straight, and it keeps me from getting it too tight. Everybody's got to do it a little bit different. So, I'm using this size jelly jar because it's going to be the closest to the same size as the can of Rotel. I want this. Water's raising up in there. I'm going to have to be using my little things here pretty soon. Like I say, I just wipe off the ash. Another jar, and I'm going to have to use that. You know, I haven't room for 2 more jars in here. And that's about all we're going to have. We have a little bit extra. I might have to make some bucksnort. All that's going to fit in my container. I'm going to use the spoon now. Turn it off. Drop this in, the water will be up over top of it. I'm going to put the rest of my boiling water from my lids in there, and we're up over top. So perfect. Now we're going to put the lid on this, and when this starts boiling, we'll start timing. We're not going to start timing it until it starts boiling. And then we're going to do like 15-20 minutes is what one of my things said. Another one says 40 minutes. Well, it's high acid. I don't know why you'd have to do 40 minutes, but 15-20 minutes should be good. I've always done 15 minutes, and I've never had anything spoil in my pantry. But I don't have, my pantry is in a basement. It's separate from the house, and it is cooler, and there's no windows in that section, so there's no light that gets in. So that makes a difference too. I mean, if you're keeping it in a room temperature at 75 degrees or even 69, it's not going to keep as long as it will in a room that stays like, I'll bet you that room, even in the summertime, don't get any hotter than 65. In the summertime. In the wintertime, it's cooler than that. It's probably 50s, maybe even in that room. So that makes a big difference as far as how long and you're processing for your tomatoes. Tomatoes is a high acid, like most of your fruits, like grape juice, which I did last year. This year I didn't get a single grape. I had a couple of bunches that I entered at the Cass County Fair. They weren't green yet. You have to have 3 bunches equal size to enter at the fair. Well, I can't remember if I got a purple ribbon grand champion on that or a blue ribbon first place. But anyway, I did good. And I know there was another bunch, but we had a very dry, there wasn't very many because we had a frost, a late frost after the blooms was on. So we didn't have a lot of them. But we had a drought this summer, and that, I think that just dried up everything else because there's not a grape on the vines this year. The few that maybe was on it, maybe the birds ate, I don't know, but there was nothing. So our 3 apple trees in our backyard, or actually front yard, they didn't have an apple on. One over the hill, kind of down, that one had a few apples. We got about a half a bushel, which normally we get 10 bushel, so I didn't have a lot. And then I have a flowering crab apple tree that's up by my house, and it's close enough to the house, but not real close to the house. It's probably 20 feet away, 10 feet. And the branches that was low and facing the house have a few apples on it. Like I got like through 2 or 3 limbs it's got apples. The rest of the tree, nothing. They all got froze off. So it's been a tough year this year, but we're managing what we're doing, so still not boiling. I could turn it up just a smidgen. Get her started boiling. So I'll get this boiling, and then I'll set the timer, and it'll automatically shut off when the timer beeps. And then I'll take the jars out, and I'll come back on and show you the finished product. Well, I'm back, and this has shut off. It beeped and shut off, so it said that my 15 minutes is up. So now, took the lid off, and grabbed my, I'm not going to grab them out without this. Okay, so there's one. And I have 8 altogether. So. This is the first time I've actually ever made this and canned it. Like I say, the other day I made just one batch so I could do the buck snort. Because it didn't make sense for me to open the can. I did have a can, a store-bought can in my pantry. But I had tomatoes. I had everything that was on the can. I mean, the can, all it is tomatoes and jalapenos. And it does have some citrus acid in it. So, but that's it. So, and so I got 8 jars. It's not enough for me to share with my kids for Christmas, because needless to say, that would be about enough for me for a winter. I don't make it real often, although I fell in love with it, and I found other ways to make it than just the dip, and which means I probably will make it more often, because I absolutely loved it in an omelet. Oh, that was. And the stuffed peppers, I have a whole bunch of peppers out in the garden. So I think I'm going to be making that again. I have basically 1 cup left, and I put it in the fridge. So I am going to, and I took a package of sausage out. So, and then all I need is cream cheese, and that's in my fridge. So I got everything. I think I'm going to make more buck snorts so that I can make some stuffed peppers. Since I have a whole bunch of bell peppers in my garden, I use up what I got. So I will catch you later, and like it and share it and subscribe. And I have a lot more videos on natural green creations, so check them out. And the buck snort jalapeno popper, or the buck snort zucchini boats, and the peppers, and the scrambled eggs with buck snort in it. I have actually a video of each one of them, so if you want to check it out, go for it. And you know, other than making sure that things are acidic enough that they'll can and stuff, don't be afraid to experiment. When you're eating, like I mean, read the can at the store, you know what's in it. You don't know the portions, so that you got to play with. And this Rotel is very hot if you taste it just plain. But by the time you get it diluted in your sausage and your cream cheese, I'm sure it's just going to be just right. But I have that 1 container, so I am going to make some, and I'm going to try it out and see how I did on this. And because you never know. They'll say, one recipe will say use 3 jalapenos. Well, what size jalapenos? I mean, I've had some jalapenos this long. I've had some jalapenos this big. And this late in the year, of course, you pick them all because you use everything. Some of my jalapenos wasn't any bigger than that. So I can't say 3. So obviously you got to kind of use some common sense and come up with what you think would be the right amount. And I added, it was a chili pepper, well actually 3 chili peppers to this because I thought, I like it hot. And I have them in the garden, so why not? A lot of the recipes I've seen, it's not on the Rotel when you buy a can of Rotel. It's just jalapenos, tomatoes, and salt and some citrus acid. That's all that's on the label. That's it. So, but some of the recipes will call for onions in it. Well, onions isn't in Rotel. It's in salsa, but not Rotel. Some of them call for 20 tomatoes. Some of them says so many cups. Some of them say, well, 20 tomatoes. Tomatoes this size, like aroma, or 20 tomatoes this size, like what I had. So there's, just do it the way you like it. Like I say, like it and share it, and I'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching.